guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I thought that I would make a updated video based on my current planner system. And so yeah, so my current planner system looks a whole lot different than where I started at the beginning of this year. And there are some things that I did not share with you guys. And so I would like to share those things just to give you guys updates. So from the right to the left, we have this field notes cover. This system, what's inside of it has changed like 2 or 3 times. So I think now it's finally where it needs to be. Then you have the A6, which houses an A6 Zequenze and also an A6 Midori, one day, one page. And then we have my on the go planner. And I have not shown this pink Filofax Saffiano in such a long time. I introduced it back in January. I let you guys know what was up with this, and then you never saw it again. It has been in great use. It's always in my bag, so that's why we never see it. So first thing we're gonna go over first is my Filofax Saffiano. So I chose to do this first because this one I haven't talked about really at all on my channel, and I really just wanted to give you guys like the update of, what all happened with this system. So, original story behind this is I bought the Print Pressions Weeks planner to go not basically with this cover, but I was looking for something like a Hobonichi Weeks style, but I did not want to commit to buying the Hobonichi Weeks because I'd used inserts that were similar to the style of the Hobonichi and they never really vibed well with me, so I did not want to commit to buying the book and then not using the book because it is pretty expensive. Well, it's not super duper expensive, but it was too much for me to spend on something that I might not even commit to using. And I have a tendency to do that with books that I buy and then I just kind of abandon them midway through. So I didn't want to do that. So I bought this PP Weeks in place of that. And when I got the book, I was highly disappointed. One, it was horrible quality. I already noticed several things that I did not like about the book before even using it. And then two, once I tore the ribbons out, this book became very flimsy like and just not my friend basically. Um so what I did is I sat this aside and I ended up purchasing another book from a seller, Sunshine Sticker Co. And her books are roughly the same size almost as the weeks, but they're just a little wider and really, really much more thicker than the PP weeks for sure. So try that, didn't like how I was initially using the layout in there. So I went back to this. So quick story. I went back to this and I told myself, screw it. I'm just going to go ahead and use it. I'm going to date the whole book. It's an on the go planner anyway, so it shouldn't have any frills. And I went through and thinking about it now, I wish I wouldn't have done it because I wasted stickers doing this. And yeah, but I went through and I dated the whole book, and then I went through and just did as many weekly spreads as I possibly could. If I have to step away and there's a break in the video, my son is downstairs in his pack and play sleeping, and I just ran away just to let him sleep because if it's quiet, he'll sleep longer. And if I'm there and he senses that I'm there, he will wake up. So I literally just ran away to do this video while he's sleeping. But I do have the baby monitor. So if I have to break away, I'm sorry. um, but yeah, I went through and I set up like all of, well, I didn't set up all of the weeks, but basically I ran through and just dated as much as I could at one time so that way I wouldn't have to worry about it. So all that I was using this for is the monthly was used to capture like important appointments that we had coming up, also bill due dates, and some other little miscellaneous things that I needed to have in this book while I was out and about. But here's the thing, I was already not drawn to this book, so using it for the time that I did use it really frustrated me because, again, I did not like. First of all, it was the quality of the book, and then secondly, it was just the layout of the book. I really hated having I don't know. It wasn't so much as the monthlies that was really bothering me, but it was really just like the weeklies and like how this book was just laid out in general. Which I thought at first I was really gonna like, but turned out I didn't. So that's all that I used the monthlies for, and basically the monthlies was used to just put things in so that I can just go home and add all the things that I needed to add in my main planner. And then these weekly sections were used for um, little notes, little out and about task, um, um, lists, shopping lists, things like that, just miscellaneous things, notes about bills, some other stuff that I might have needed while I was out and about. But I basically used this to capture some of the things that I needed while I was away from the home. And it worked out great for a while. And then again, the quality of this book, and if you know, you know, but the quality of this book just started falling apart. It was already falling apart from here and here when I first got it because I had housed it in a standard size traveler's notebook, and I, instead of putting the string in the middle, I chose to put the string here. But whatever kind of paper he used or binding, it was not strong enough to hold the elastic. So the elastic started ripping through. Now my elastics are not at all tight at all. They're fairly loose, but it was cutting through. And I had this tucked into this Filofax Saffiano. So when it was tucked, and every time I would open it up and flip back like this, because if you've had the Filofax Saffiano, you know that back cover is fairly sturdy to hold the ring mechanism that goes inside the binder. This would pull like this, and eventually my back cover started to rip away. So again, I hated this book from the jump, but I really forced myself to use it because I just wanted a basic on the go system that I didn't really have to care too much about. But this was not that, and quickly got pushed to the side. So I went back to Sunshine Sticker Co. book, and I must say that after redoing my layout, I absolutely love it now. So I'm housing it in this Filofax Saffiano. Interior, all I keep in here is like my cards, like banking stuff, my social security card, um, and other banking cards. And you just saw this reference book that I pulled out. I'm so sorry that I bumped you guys. So basically inside of this, there's no decorations. I wanted this to be as simple as possible because I need simplicity in my life, and this was that. So moving forward, I have the yearly overview, and I did this, if you follow me and you've been watching or keeping up with my videos, you know that I use the Moleskine Expanded. And in the front of it, I have this layout. This is so that I can write like events or birthdays and things like that I want to remember. I write it here, and then I just put it where it needs to go within the monthly and weekly spreads. So I literally just date, or not date, but like write the subject, so birthdays, and then whose birthday, and then the next subject, holidays, and then so on. So I hope that made sense. I'm trying to be quick about this video today. I filmed this video yesterday and didn't like the fact that I said basically like 99 times after every other word. So I'm refilming it today. So bear with me. But hopefully I can get the time down than yesterday's video. So yeah, so basically this just captures everything and I just said it. Here we go. And then after that, I have the monthly overviews, and I did this in bullet journal style because, first of all, this takes up less space. Secondly, it was quick and easy, and I'm all about quick and easy. I'm a lazy planner, and I really like my planner systems to be simple but yet quick to do. And yeah, I do not like to sit here and take hours and hours to just set up one thing. I have done that in the past, and doing it before a child, yeah, sure, have all the time in the world, but doing it after having a child, no, no, no. I need everything to be quick. So, yeah, basically, I just have this monthly spread. And then after the monthly spread, I have the finance section. So I just have a couple of pages to start for the finance, and it's broken down between date, description, amount, and totals. And this is just so I can use this section to pretty much write down some things, whether or not I need to. So it could be like a high grocery bill that I'm trying to track, or it could be something pertaining to a bill that I'm checking on or trying to total out, or balancing bank accounts between the checkings and savings and all of the other accounts that we have. It could be a plethora of things, basically a checkbook register, and a lot of people use them digitally, but I'm doing it on paper because digital just does not work for me as well. I lose sight of what I have via digital, so I'm going back to just using pen and paper. So yeah, I put a checkbook register in here now. I don't have anything after this, but what this section is going to be is it's going to go straight into the weekly and notes. So I'm going to do a week on one page and then with notes. So the week is going to extend over into the second page. So sort of like the Hobonichi, but not in a sense, because I kind of have like a vision. I don't know. I was going for the Hobonichi style sorta in the beginning, but I don't like, I guess it was just the book itself or the way that I've seen other people use it, to be honest. But I do like, because I did this in my Moleskine Expanded. I did the week on one page, but I had trackers. So I don't know exactly how I'm going to do my weekly spread, but I am going to do like a week spread across 2 pages. I like that. And I'm going to do my weekly notes for sure. So I will update as I finish out the setup for this, but I'm by no means in any rush, because this is my on the go planner or journal, bullet journal, or whatever. And I just need it to be simple. I'm not even thinking about drawing out boxes, to be honest. I'm thinking about just putting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and having a couple of notes, having like some meal plans, grocery lists, things like that. I'm basically just trying to map out the page without drawing anything. And I use these page flags instead of like tabs to mark off the sections, because they're quick and easy to remove. And yeah, it's just something simple and quick. So the last thing that I have going for this was last year's reference book. And last year's reference book, I have a combination of my personal information and my mom's personal information in there. And I really kind of need the two separate in some sense. I need just a couple of things separated out of this book. So I have another one tucked in the back here that I'm going to be migrating or continuing to migrate some of the information that's in here out of it. So basically that's what I'm doing with this. But for right now, it just sits all tucked in to this Filofax Saffiano. And once I kind of get like that book squared away, it won't, it won't be this bulked up because of that extra book in here. Um, but yeah, this is my on the go planner. And like I said, I love this thing. It goes everywhere with me. If I lost it, if I leave it at home, I'll feel completely lost because literally everything is in that book. So next thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about my A6. So this, if you've kept up with me, I've used personal rings, and I have a love-hate relationship with my personal rings right now. Sometimes I want to use it and sometimes I don't. Um, my personal rings had turned into my main planner, but then I started using this and this turned into my main planner. Now, the only issue that I have is that A6 is incredibly small. It's not small like Passport, but it's still small. So I kind of want to bring back my Moleskine Expanded because I started that at the middle of January and I used it all of February and the rest of January. And then I jumped out of it for March because I went back into personal rings, or B6. I think I was in B6. Yeah, I was in B6. But I don't know if I want to incorporate it again back into my system. So again, still something that I'm working on. But I have this A6, which this A6 has become like my main planner. So there's three things in here. I have the Midori One Day One Page, which is like my memory planner. I have my little Passport weekly booklet, and then I have a Zequenze A6. So basically, all that's being used in here. So I'll go middle to the Zequenze. So this booklet is this is my planning down to a T. I have been not so much into daily planning lately, but I've been into weekly planning because I haven't had a whole lot of stuff going on in my life that needs, daily planning, but I do take a lot of daily notes because I always find that I'm needing to remember something or whatever. And also, I pre-plan a lot. And one of the things that I love about this book is that because I started it at the start of January, all my information from January is in this book. So I can always go back and reference any material from the past couple of months in this book because it's all here. So this book has, this is that book. This book has everything. So this is a 3-month book. It comes two in a pack and it's split up into half year. So it's a half a year book, but there's two in a pack to make the whole year. And basically all I do is I write the months in and then I write the events for those months. They could be work events for my husband. They could be appointments, like future appointments. They could be birthdays. They could be anything. But I just write all of that stuff in here. And so that way I can see, okay, what's coming up, in this month. So like May, we have Mother's Day, and I can plan around Mother's Day because I know, like we're probably going to do something or whatnot. So I just like to have this to kind of pre-plan some bigger events for the month. And then it goes into your weekly. So I've been using this weekly booklet from the start of January, like I said, to basically write down my weekly task. Even though it's such a short or small space, I still have enough space to write down some of the bigger top tasks of the week. I put it in here, and then I have this little tracker which I have been keeping up with every single month. And I do have the same tracker in my Zequenze, but this just holds me accountable. So when I see it twice, it kind of nags at me. It's kind of like that nagging effect. And so, yeah, basically, I just use this to capture everything else. And in the back, it has some note pages, just a couple. So there's 2 note pages and 2 sketch pages. And what I've started to do is in red, I will write the month, and then in green, I will write, like the big reminder things for that month. So prime example, I can share this. April the 18th was the last day to file taxes. Because we had our son here in Germany, we actually don't have his social security number yet. I know it's crazy. It's been almost a year. My son is 9 months. He's getting ready to turn 10 months on the 29th, and we still don't have all of his stuff. So, preferably 1 year to date since we've had our son. And we need to file him on our taxes. We spend a lot of money. We kind of want to get that money back because we PCS out of here in July. And so while we're overseas, we have an extension of 2 months. So that is the kind of information that will go into this little back book, this section. It's just capturing some of those bigger, more important things that I just need to be reminded of, and I just kind of break them down for months or the month, so that way that I can kind of come back here and figure out, okay, what needs to happen big this month. And so when this booklet is done, I can always reference this. I like to keep, like I said, I like to keep the bigger notes, bigger events in the back of the book. It's just so that everything stays together. All of my tasks, all of the pre planning and major big notes, they all stay together. Now, my Zequenze happen to turn out to be my main planner. I don't know how that happened, but it turned out to be that way. So I was going to use it for personal journal and decided to do away with that because I already had something that better suit the need for that. So I went in, I set up April in here. So I have my monthly overview. You guys know I love my monthly. It's where I jot down some of those highlighted events or tasks. And then I have my weekly overview with notes and tracking. Now, if you've watched me and you've kept up with my stology and how I use my stology, this is the same exact layout. I did not change the layout. I literally went back to what was working for me because I was finding that when I was in my B6 and when I was in my rings, those systems weren't working so well because it was not what I loved. I did not love, having those type of systems. There were aspects of it that I liked, but I didn't love it. When I was in my astrology, I loved the layout that I had created because this was what I wanted. I wanted to have a weekly overview with notes, and I wanted my tracker in one spot. This was what I used. This was the kind of layout that I used in my Moleskine Expanded. So again, I don't know why I do this to myself. I get wrapped up with what everyone else is doing, and then I stray away from things that work for me. So this works well for me, so I went back to this. So monthly, or not monthly, weekly overview with notes, tracking the same things that I track in this little passport booklet. I track in here. The only other difference is I add our meal plan for the week. And then like my daily pages is just a list. Sorry guys, I bumped you again. So it's just a list. I use the right hand side of the page for little tidbit notes, and I use the left hand side to make a to-do list. Now, I break my to-do list down into um, the order of how I need the day to flow. So those are the top things that I'll do. So what I mean by that is if I wake up at 6 a.m. and I need to get dressed or brush my teeth or do whatever, I will write those tasks first and then write the next tasks that need to follow after that. So it's basically like writing out a schedule without the times. So I just come in and I cross it out. Now, I don't use check marks or any of those signifiers because I'm beyond that. They don't serve me any purpose anymore. I've already established what needs to be done and what I didn't do. So all I do is when I do it, I just cross it out. When I don't do it, I leave it blank. And then that way, when I'm planning for the following day or week, I can look and see like, oh yeah, I didn't do that yesterday. I didn't do it this week. If there's something that I didn't cross out or I left blank and it needs to have a note, I will make those little signifier notes. But other than that, I leave it be because it already didn't get done and I can already see that it didn't get done. Sundays is the only day that has two pages. So I think I mentioned this when I explained my Stology setup and also my Moleskine setup, is that Sunday is the only day that has two pages. This is so that on this last page, I can literally map out some of the things for the following week. So it's pretty much capturing everything from that current week, what I didn't do, some of the important notes, some top tasks, some chores, all that stuff. It gets mapped out here in order, and then I take this and then I start plugging it into the week, and I write my little notes about some stuff here, and then I start plugging them into the days. Um, as I plan. So I basically jot down all the bigger stuff in the days, just so that it's already there and I don't have to think about going back to do that. So yeah, basically that's how I've been planning in here, and this is just a flip of my pages so far. And this is this current week. The only difference with this current week opposed to the other weeks is I went ahead and added a tracker here. This tracker, because I started working out again. I had fallen off so bad, because I have really bad sciatica pain, and I let that get the best of me for the past couple of months. And so I know movement is the only thing that's really going to help me. So I started doing some very light workouts to just kind of help with that. And so I just put a little tracker sticker here to just check off and see how often I'm working out. I just started yesterday, and yesterday was Tuesday. So we're going to see if I can stick to it for the rest of the week. But again, that's just how I've been using my book. And I love sticky notes. Sticky notes, like, they're the best things ever created. So when I have an appointment cancel or change, I used to write it in, but now I just write it on a sticky note if it was a change, and then stick it on the day that the appointment would have originally taken place, so that when I get to this daily page, I don't go in and say appointment, because I usually write like that kind of stuff like in this section. I don't write appointment today with such and such. Instead, I can see this note and I can be like, oh, the appointment was canceled for today. And then I'll move the note over, and then I'll do my to-do list, and then I'll move this note to whichever day, that the appointment is scheduled for, so that when I plan, um it's already there and I don't have to flip back and be like, what day was that appointment scheduled for? Like doing this, I can just move this note. So basically, that's all I do for that. So this is my main planner. It's the A6 Zequenze and the little passport booklet. So we're at 28 minutes. I think I'm going to cancel the last part of the video that I was going to share, which was this, um, because I feel like we're going to be so incredibly long in this video, but I don't know if I'm going to get a time to film again. Let's just go through it really quick. So again, this system changed so much. It housed 3 books at first. I finished my second journal, by the way, for those of you who kept up. I finished my second journal, and I share this on IG, that I had purchased this book. So this is another Paperblanks. If you follow me, I keep bumping the camera, I'm so sorry. If you follow me, you know that I had this Paperblanks originally. This is a dated planner. It's dated for this year, but like half of the year is already, like, the first quarter of the year is like already gone. I keep bumping my camera. It's because I'm standing and I'm trying to get through this very quickly. So about this much of the book is already gone. And when I first got this book, this was I wasn't using this as a planner. I was gonna use it as like a daily jotter. I was just ignoring these dates, and just writing in it as normal. And then I started playing around with some whiteout to see how like it looked if I like whited out the dates. Hold on, I think I hear my son. Hmm. I'm gonna hurry up because I think I heard him, and I don't want to leave him by himself with the TV off because he'll start to wonder, and I don't want him to be concerned, or not concerned, but I don't want him to think that he's alone because he is not. But like I said, I started playing around with some whiteout, but I didn't really like the way that that looked. I know that a lot of people do white out the dates or redate books for different uses, but I personally just did not like doing it. I tried it and I didn't like the way that it looked, so I can ignore the dates. I can pretend that they are non-existent. So I put that one off to the side because I really wanted to try this one when I got it. I just really loved this cover more than I liked the other cover. And so I chose this one for my next journal, and I've been journaling in it a lot. So this is what I have so far. It's 120 GSM paper. I believe there's 240 pages. And I started this journal on April 10th. I finished my other journal on April 9th. So the other journal, I think I started it on, let me see. I started it on March 18th and I finished it on April 9th. And that was my second journal. And then this is my third. So my goal is to be done with this within like a month and a half, but I don't know if I'll be done with it in that time frame. I kind of feel like I'll be done with it by the end of next month, but we'll see because I've been writing a lot, like a lot. And my goal is to finish this journal and archive it so that I can start another one that I got. So I was so obsessed when I got the Paperblanks notebooks that I went and I purchased this one. So this one is like the first one I showed you. It's another little daily planner, but again, if you just ignore those dates and use it as a basic like journal, you have the lines. It's there for you. Who cares that there's dates in it? I don't. So why should you? Um but if you just use it as like a journal, it's so beautiful. This is more pages than the journal that they have with this kind of cover. The journal that they have, which comes in lined pages, has about 100 and something odd pages. That's great and all, but I really love the chunkiness, the little chunkiness of this. And plus, I love this thinner paper quality over the thicker paper quality because I noticed that with their journals, their paper quality changes a little bit. It goes up in grade. So, nothing against thicker quality. I just really like the thinner quality. But look at this cover, you guys. This cover is beautiful. It is so beautiful. Ugh, let's move this. I've already done a review or a show and tell of like how their daily, it's called a day at a time. I've already shown that. So if you want, I would check out the most recent video um so you can see like how it comes. But look at this cover. Tell me that's not beautiful with all that detailing, that 3D and then that gold foiling, like that shimmer. The texture in this book is bonanza. Like, tell me this isn't beautiful and tell me that that would not look good in my leather cover. That's gonna look so good. So another journal that I'm really excited to start, but I am not going to start it until I've completely finished this one. I will do a whole little review on the paper blank journals. I don't think they're a part of the US. I do see some of their books on the US Amazon, but I really genuinely don't think they're a part of the US. If they are, that's awesome, but I did not see all of their inventory on the Amazon for US. I saw it on Germany, but not the US. And I don't know if they ship to the US, but I'll double check that too. But I want to do a full review on them because I happen to love their journals. There is another company, Peter Popper Press, I want to say. I hope I said that right. He makes beautiful journals as well, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. So, yeah, that's all that I wanted to show you guys. Dang, y'all, I ended up making this video exactly the same length as yesterday's video. Oh well. I'm so sorry for all the people who hate long videos. I'm working on that, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you found some of the information that I showed in or talked about these books useful in some sort of way. To all of my new subscribers, welcome. I'm so glad that you decided to join, and all of my returning subscribers, welcome back. As always, guys, I thank you so much, and I will see you guys in another planner related video. Bye.